So in this video I'm gonna try and give you a good tutorial of one of the most basic and fundamental rules of composition, and that's called the rule of thirds. So I'm just trying to find this spot here, and I found this fisherman, and I'm gonna use him as an example. And I have a lot of negative space here with this beach, so it's a very clear area to practice composition. So whenever you're practicing composition using large open spaces with a lot of negative space is really great, because then you get a clear subject like I have in this case. And you want to turn the grid on over here in the settings. So if you go to your settings, you'll see grid lines. You want to turn that on, and then you'll have this grid which you can use to practice composition. Now in this case I can actually use the telephoto lens here just to illustrate for you even more what I'm talking about. So when I have a person, I want to be aiming for the head to be at this intersection. It just looks better compositionally. And I want to be also using this side of the grid line because you see he's facing that way. There's a bit of implied sort of direction that way. So I want to be using this side of the grid line instead of taking a shot where he's just in the middle. So this is what a typical beginner would do. They just take a shot where he's in the middle, and you know, a typical beginner would take his phone out of his pocket like this, take your phone out at eye level high, and you just quickly and you grab a shot, right? This is what you do. And this is only natural and easy because that's how most people take photos. They put things in the center, they think it's gonna look better, attract more attention. So that's usually what beginners do. They don't really tend to think about the rule of thirds. But with the rule of thirds is you usually always get better photos when you're composing according to one of the thirds of the grid lines. And you can see here I'm lining up the top grid line with the horizon. So when I'm using the other lens, here I'm using the other telephoto lens, so I'm quite far away because I want to get less noise of the sea in this video. And I have him, you see, at the intersection of the bottom of the grid line. So compositionally, this is a very good example of where I'm placing him and where I've got the horizon, and he's at the bottom intersection of the horizon, and then I'm going to take a shot like this, and I have some implied direction here from his fish rod. So I want to be using this side of the grid line and not this side of the grid line, because that just looks awkward. Do you see how it feels a bit awkward? So you want to have enough space on that side, and we're using the top grid line for the horizon. So like here I have another example with two guys sort of meditating whilst they're fishing. And usually, you know, you take the phone out of the pocket, eye level high, and just take a shot. And I'm using a different lens for this, and as you can see, my subjects are actually, you know, at the thirds here, and I'm using the top grid line here for the horizon, so matching that up with the horizon. And then I'm using these subjects here at the intersections. Do you see how they're at the intersections of the bottom over here, sitting? So this one's not quite at the bottom, but both of them are on this beautiful lineup of the rule of thirds. Now if I use a different lens, straight away that doesn't happen. Actually, to give you an even better comparison, what I can do is I can place one of the guys like really off center like this, or like this. So just to compare, you'll see that compositionally this looks a lot better. It's just more appealing. So that's pretty much it, guys, in this video. Very basic rule, just, you know, how to use the grid. And, you know, remember with people it's a little bit different because they have implied direction. Some objects, you know, flags, flying objects, all these things, like, they have implied direction, so you want to be a bit more careful of that. But generally, as I said, this rule will tend to give you better pictures, but you don't have to use it all the time. So that's pretty much it, guys, and I'll see you in another video.